All right, everybody, welcome to the Freaky Friday Night Marketing Talk. I'm Nathan. We have Lewis here, and the topic tonight is cold email marketing. So a lot of people have problems with cold emails, whether it's just sending it manually or trying to do a mass bulk mail type deal through some kind of platform like Campaigner, Constant Contact, Mailchimp. There's a lot of different options out there, and a lot of problems people have. And I'm familiar with this because when I first started email marketing, I had my home IP address blacklisted. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't send any emails. I've had tons and tons of domains blacklisted, and nothing could get through. So I'm sure a lot of people that are beginning doing email marketing, you've had this problem. You've had a lot of problems with delivery. Things are going to junk, spam. You're getting stuff blacklisted. You're just not having good results. And Lewis, you're pretty new to email marketing, so I don't know if you've even tried doing anything yet, have you?
No, I haven't. I haven't. But I will tell you this. I'm familiar with some of the things we're going to talk about tonight, but I'm really interested to learn more about some of the topics, like as you can see on the screen.
Right, right. So what you're going to learn tonight, you're going to learn where you could get emails either manually or by using automation software, scrapers. Is it better to send manually or use mass automation? What services are the best for delivery? How to avoid getting banned, how to get great open rates without burning your domains, types of content you should send, split testing, and segmenting. So we're going to cover a lot. Hopefully, we're not going to be too long like we were the last couple weeks. We're just going to be rolling through this and hopefully providing you top-notch value. So I guess we could go ahead and get started into the next slide. Harvesting emails. Where can you find the emails of businesses? Now, if you want to do it manually, you could go to Chamber of Commerce websites. Just do a quick Google search, and you could find tons and tons of Chamber of Commerce websites for your local area, another area, and a lot of them have business emails listed. So this is a really good source. It's one of the things that I did before I started using Mobile Renegade, which we'll talk about in a minute here. So Chamber of Commerce websites, it's a huge resource to get business emails. Anybody could do it, whether you're just starting and you're just going to send manually, or whether you want to build your email list pretty fast. Yellowbook's another one. Yellow Pages, Manta, Facebook business pages. You could also manually search through Google and just click on a bunch of websites and see if they have an email posted. And I know that takes a lot of time. I don't do that. I can't justify the time invested, but if you have more time than you have money and you can't afford automation tools or scraping software, then that's probably an option for you. Another thing is trade show directories. This is a really awesome resource, and I've used this for a while. You'll have associations, like there's roofing associations, there's trade shows, there's travel expos, there's all kinds of different trade shows or home shows, and many of these shows and exhibitions will display like the exhibitor list. People that buy booth space or sponsorships, and they'll also display an email. So there's a lot of really great sources out there for trade show directories, and those are high quality because you already know they're spending money. You already know they have a marketing budget, and they're open to spending money. And a lot of these cost a lot of money. Now, Lewis, do you ever do any trade shows or anything where you exhibit?
For this particular the business that I'm in right now, I don't. And I've heard of just and it's specific to the business. I've heard a lot of horror stories, but I think that for the business that we're in now, or the one that I'm trying to get into now, As far as online marketing, I think it's great, man. I think uh, I think that that's a really good idea. And I know there's a ton of offline businesses that do that now. And it's just, sometimes those are the kind of people. And for anybody listening right now, anybody paying attention, here's a hint: people who invest their money in those trade show directories or the trade shows, it's because they're looking to expose their business. Hint, hint. So those kind of programs, they cost 1,500, $2,000 a show. I mean, it can get really expensive. So that's just kind of my input on that. But as far as
Yeah,
my business, no.
I know a few people that actually put on the shows, like all the pet expos. I'm good friends with the owner of the company, and I think they're in like 60 cities throughout the year, and they're selling like booth space at 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 bucks a pop. So yeah, that's pretty big, but it's also a good resource. If you're a marketer, these people are spending money, so that's the way I see it.
Yep, absolutely.
And another thing, Mobile Renegade for scraping. I know a lot of you, heck, most of you probably have it already. If you don't, you should definitely check it out. It automates a lot of things. It can make scraping a lot easier. And Lewis got a Mobile Renegade recently, and he's been playing around with it. And how you told me earlier that you were scraping, you got some emails. How many emails did you get, Lewis? Oh well, I don't know where Lewis went, but he was telling me earlier he was playing around with it and got a certain amount of emails. I forget. I think it was close to 1,000. Um, so yeah, I definitely recommend using Mobile Renegade. If you have the money to spend on it, at least do some research and check it out. So let's move on. Manual versus automated mailing. So there's pros and cons to everything that you could do in marketing, whether it's email marketing, SEO, pay per click, everything. There's always a big pros and cons list. So it's not different here. So you have manual versus automated mailing. Manual emailing allows for more personalization. You could spend time going through their website if you're offering website design, or if you're offering SEO. You could point out mistakes they made. You could, be relevant to their business. So that's the pro of manual emailing. You could also give specific feedback and advice, like if you're doing conversion rate optimization, tell them, just give them a couple free tips. That's an advantage that you could use with manually doing this. Um, Bad thing is you're unable to scale. You can't really scale up manual emailing. Most servers, I don't know. I think most servers give you like a 200 email per hour limit. Um, I'm sure everybody's different, but that seems to be, where you're at, and it's a pain in the ass to really try and up that and scale it. And even if you use Gmail or another service provider, you're going to have the same problem. They all have internal limits to how many emails that you could send. Um, Also, server limitations and poor delivery. If you're using a shared server, your IP address, what you're using to email, whether that gets through or not, doesn't depend on you. And sometimes it's not up to the server. Sometimes it's the people that you're on the server with. So if you're using like GoDaddy, HostGator, Bluehost, KnownHost, JustHost, or any of the major hosting companies, and you're on a shared server or even a reseller, you're probably on the same block as thousands and thousands of sites. Bluehost has, I don't know, like 17, 18,000 sites on one server. So if you're on Bluehost, it's not up to like how good or how well you email and whether it's spammy or not. You could be ruined just by one or two sites out of the 17,000 on there. So that's one major fallback when it comes to manual emailing. Um, And I'm not saying it's bad to do manual emailing. I still think it's beneficial, and I still do it, but I don't spend much time on it. Like occasionally, let's say I had a potential client that fell off for some reason. Maybe they wanted to postpone for 6 months or whatever, and they weren't worth, keep going after. But I still wanted somebody in that industry, in their area. I'll look for different businesses and go through their sites and send a manual email, and really personalize it and see what I could do to, generate a lead from doing that. And it works. It's just not something that you could do at scale. Next thing is automated emailing. Super fast, it's effective. It's what I use 99% of the time. I mean, I use it weekly. I send out mass email every single week, tons and tons of email. So it's what I do. It's what I recommend. It allows for advanced scheduling, advanced creation. So if you want to, spend an hour and just write up a few different emails, you could schedule one for Monday morning, then the following Monday, and the following Monday, and keep doing that. So it's only like a one-time thing, and you know, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to just send one email and be done with it. You want to keep on doing it. You got to keep on uh, building relationships with your list, even if it's a cold list. So that's a big advantage of automated emailing. And of course, it's a numbers game. Everything in marketing seems to be a numbers game, whether it's cold calling, whether it's emailing, everything. It's all numbers. So that's an advantage that automated mailing gives you. It's a numbers game. You could have a lot of emails sent out at once. You could generate a lot of results. It's just the advantage, I think. It's much easier to scale. You can't scale manual emailing. Like you're going to send 200 emails an hour. Maybe you could get another server and send another 200. But with automated emailing, it's so much easier to scale. You can start off with a couple thousand emails, grow it to 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, a million. Right now, I have a list of 4.5 million businesses. So it's a lot easier to scale. I started off with no emails and manually built my list to, like, I don't know, maybe 10,000, 15,000. Once I discovered Mobile Renegade, I was able to build it to 50,000, 100,000, and kept on growing. So it's much easier to scale. And Lewis, are you back now?
Yeah, I had to go take a piss.
Of course you did. So you told me you tried doing some manual emailing. Um, I guess you had a VA do it. Is that right?
Yeah, let me tell you guys about that experience. For those of you who uh, um, have ever done, I mean, how many in the audience have actually delved into any sort of cold emailing before? Give me a four if you've done that before. Right. Um, yeah, um, in my mind, this was pretty funny. Um, in my mind, I figured, I said, man, I think I have the really like it was the coolest message ever. I'm actually really excited. I was really excited to get going. Um, I tried it both in the current business that I'm in, pressure washing, and then I tried it with the SEO, and it was to say the least, it was a failure, man. I paid this VA about $60, and she sent out maybe 100 emails, maybe, and it sucks. I mean, for those of you who have done manual emails, what have your results looked like? And give me a three if you were successful, and then if you weren't successful, if you really sucked at it, give me a five. Ooh, mixed results. Ooh. JB, we might have to talk later, buddy. Uh, yeah. So no, just um, my experience of trying the manual emails. I mean, uh, my message was really well crafted in my opinion, and I asked for a couple other people's opinions on it, and the message was there. It just, you know, I'm not sure if I was even getting into their inbox. I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure if just 100 wasn't enough. Which now at this point I realize 100 emails is not enough, obviously. But it's just after $60, I feel like I could send a lot more than 100 emails through automated services.
Yeah, and one thing you said, like she sent out 100 emails, and where was this VA from?
She was from the Philippines.
Now, when you found her, was she somebody that was doing this already? Was she already doing manual emailing?
Yeah, she was previously correct.
So let's say that she did this for somebody else and sent out only 50, and she hit some spam filters, or somebody hit the spam button. Her IP address is already a little screwed up. So even if you had her send 10,000, chances are the delivery on the emails is going to suck. So that's another bad thing about manual emailing. You risk your IP, and a lot of people don't realize that. So if you're logging into Gmail, your your IP is going to be displayed in the source. So you can look at the message details if you're looking at Outlook, and you get their IP address. So of course, if they hit the spam button, you're just kind of screwed. So that really sucks. But let's go on and to the next slide here. So which services to use? If you're not going to manually email, these are some services that you have an option with. You have Campaigner, which used to be Contactology, and I've been messing around with it a little bit lately. I haven't used it um, a lot like I used to. It was Contactology first, and I used it a lot more then, but they did an entire rebrand and upgraded the servers, upgraded a lot of stuff. So I've been playing around with it, and it is a good option. I like it. They're not super strict on where you got um, your email list from. They'll, of course, yeah, ask you eventually, and you could make up whatever reason. Constant Contact, this is probably one of my least favorites. It was the first service I used and got banned. I got banned with the 1,000 emails that I sent out, and that was it. I didn't even have a super high complaint rate. I think I had a 0.2% complaint rate. So I don't really care for them. So probably not a good option for cold emailing. I've known a few people that had pretty good results with it, but just given my experience, I wouldn't recommend it for cold emailing. iContact is a pretty good option. They're not as strict. You'll be able to have like a zero point 0.3 to 0.4% complaint rate without getting banned. They'll just send you a warning. Delivery is pretty good, not the greatest, but overall better than Constant Contact and competes with Campaigner. Now, this is an interesting one. Amazon SES. SES is a service to send emails. It's super cheap. I don't even remember what the cost is. I think it's like 10 cents per thousand or something. Um, I don't know. I use it regularly. I don't even know how much it costs. But I also use it with Cindy, Cindy.co. It's an email list management software. You could install it on your server and send through your server. It's pretty cool. But you could use Amazon SES with any kind of platform that works with it. It's super cheap. People think that the delivery is awesome because it's Amazon, but it really isn't. It's not very good. Uh, I get maybe 5 to 10% open rates with it. I've also tested it out with some other lists and other domains and have managed to get up to about 15% to 20% open rates, but it doesn't last long. Um, I don't know what the deal is with that, but overall, they're one of the worst performing platforms to use. But it doesn't mean that it's useless. It's very good for cleaning a list. If you want to clean like a freshly scraped list um, that you don't know how many are going to bounce, and you don't want to pay for like verification tools or services. So that's what I use it for, and I send about I don't know, maybe 50,000 a day with it, just to clean the list and extra marketing and try and figure out the platform. So that's pretty much it about that. Next is my favorite, Mailchimp. Mailchimp is hands down the best platform for cold emailing. Um, it blows everyone else out of the water. I don't have an affiliate link for it. I'm not an affiliate for it, so I don't get any money whether you use it or not. But it is it's my favorite. It's what I use, and um, I've I've had a couple issues along the way, but they were pretty quick to resolve them. Mailchimp gets better delivery by about 50 to 60% better than anyone else. Um, it's easy to use. It's pretty cool. Now, they don't allow you to send affiliate links, so if you do any kind of offline affiliate marketing, you probably want to use something else. They don't allow that. They hate it. They hate affiliate marketers. So if you do any of that, it's not worth it. Use Aweber and just build an opt-in list or something, or use Amazon SES and blast away your links all you want. But Mailchimp, it won't work with that. Um, let's see here. What else with Mailchimp? Now, if you ever have a problem with complaints with Mailchimp, they're probably going to ask you when this person opted in. Can you provide proof of opt-in? So this is along the lines of not white hat, probably darker gray hat, maybe even black hat. I've
Black
used
hat
like
bullshit.
I Yeah, maybe it's Black Hat, but what I'll do is create like I'll do a little research and see where a recent trade show was. Then I'll put their name and email in a form that I created and used a bunch of different types of handwriting with all these people and names and emails. And then I'll send it in to them and they okay it. And I'm like, okay, sorry, we reinstated your account. I've done this numerous times. And, and recently, they tried shutting me off because somebody manually complained. They sent them like 5 emails saying I was a spammer and they're tired of receiving my emails. Well, all they had to do was subscribe in the first place. But anyway, MailChimp asked me about it. They asked me to provide information on when they opted in. I was like, look, I don't know where this is. I don't know where they opted in. I think it was a phone call or something that I had with them at one point and added them to the list. And they're like, okay, well, thank you for letting us know we reinstated your account. It's nothing huge. They don't grill you. It's pretty easy to get around deactivation. Like if you do enough volume. I mean, I do crazy volume. Most people aren't going to have problem as long as you follow some of the things that are listed in this webinar, which we'll get to. So as long as you do that, you're probably not going to have much of a problem. Another option is SMTP through your server or servers. This is along the lines of manually emailing, but doing it in an automated way using your own server. I I don't really recommend it for huge amounts of email. It all depends on your server, your sender reputation. So, um, I think some of you are Mobile Renegade users, so you could actually use this in Mobile Renegade and send the emails. And while that's really cool and beneficial, um, you still probably want to use some kind of platform like MailChimp because you want to be able to send to this list more than once. You want to send to them at probably around once a week. Once a week is the sweet spot. Sometimes every 4 or 5 days, but generally once a week is a good amount. And you want to keep building that relationship and trust through email. So SMTP, it's an option. I recommend Mailchimp hands down for any kind of automated email blasting. And Lewis, I don't know what you've been looking at. Have you what are you using now? I know you haven't really started, but you're looking to get started with it. Are you have you tried out a couple of these platforms?
Yeah, I was actually familiar with Mailchimp even before I started my first business. When I was promoting in the club industry, so I was pretty familiar with it already. Um, and I've been learning a little bit. It's changed a little bit since then, but it's definitely something I've been looking at, and I feel like I want to try out Amazon as well to see how that works. I mean, it intrigues me. I'm kind of curious. What is everyone? Has anybody in the audience tried any of these before, or ever looked into any of these platforms? Nope, never. Okay. Well, hopefully after this webinar, it gives you enough information to at least start delving into it. Yeah, JB, that's why you're sending those manual ones because you got because you got banned.
so so when you got banned, I guess we'll be waiting for a response. What was it? Was it complaint rate? Cool. So we'll be addressing that here, maybe in the next slide or two. So and that should fix your problem. You'll be able to create a new account. So I guess we could go on to the next slide here. How to avoid getting banned. Perfect, perfect timing. So there's really two main things that will get you banned. Um, that's a high bounce rate and a high complaint rate. Um, and the fixes are pretty easy. So if you have a high bounce rate, they're going to shut you off because the delivery sucks. They don't want to ruin their sender reputation. They're just going to shut you off. So what you could do, you could go to email-checker.com. They have a cheap service listed. I don't do it because if I spend money on all the emails that I verify or had to verify, I would be spending way too much money. You could also look on Fiverr. There's people that will verify for you. And then use a service you don't care about. I do this with Amazon SES. So I'm getting 50,000 emails a day with SES. So I could send out some kind of blast with new emails I scrape along with emails that I know work. So that reduces my overall bounce rate, even if I had a high bounce rate with the new scraped emails. And that's what I recommend using a service that you don't really care about. And SES is a really good one to use for that because it's so cheap. So you're not risking an account ban in order to clean a list for your main account. Uh, that's what I do. The next thing is high complaint rate. And this is what gets a lot of people in trouble. There's only one real solution to it if you're going to be cold emailing, and that's removing emails that have a feedback loop. So hopefully you have some sort of notepad that you could jot these down. There's 6 email providers that I always remove, always. Yahoo.com. So anything at yahoo.com, I remove. AOL.com, SBCglobal.net, Comcast, Earthlink, Bell South. These are all the emails I remove. And if you've sent emails and you've gotten banned from another provider in the past, you could look to see who complained. And chances are you're going to have AOL emails there, or SBC Global, or Yahoo. And that list, again, is yahoo.com, AOL, SBC Global, Comcast, Earthlink, and Bell South. So these are the ones you do not want to send to. Now, eventually, you might be able to once you build up a good enough reputation with the provider. Um, but even then, I don't really recommend it. I still remove it, even though I have tons and tons of emails. I still remove these email addresses because they're nothing but trouble. They're they are the reason that you won't be able to get good delivery. They're the reason that you will probably be banned. So, it's better safe than sorry. Now, there are other email platforms that use a feedback loop. Those are the most prominent, and those are the ones I remove. Hotmail.com, Gmail, they have feedback loops, but very rarely do I get complaints. Live.com, they sometimes complain, but it's not really a big deal. Um, the six major ones: Yahoo, AOL, SBC Global, Comcast, Earthlink, and Bell South. Those are the ones that you got to worry about. The others, just play it by ear and see what your complaints look like. You'll be alerted whenever somebody complains, and take note of the domain name. There might be a new service that comes out, and you'll just want to keep an eye out for these. So I guess, Lewis, do you have any questions about that? Because you're just getting into this.
Yeah, actually, this was the one part that I did want to kind of learn more about. But I feel like you pretty much explained it very well. You kind of have to play it by ear. There's, I mean, there's only, I guess, specific uh, what's the word for it? Specific email. I guess the endings like the AOL. I'm not sure if I have the word for that or not, but like the AOL, the Yahoo, etc. Um,
Yeah.
they're a little harder to send to. So what I got out of that, and
Well,
they're typically the people that complain.
it's not that they're too hard to send to. It's just that it's very easy to hit the spam button. So instead of unsubscribing or sending a response saying, "Hey, please remove me from your list," they're just going to hit the spam button. So that's the problem there. They're not hard to send to. They're actually really easy to send to. Um, but that's the issue. When it
Got
comes
it.
to delivery. Um, and if you don't really care and you just want to just keep creating accounts and spending money, go ahead and send to them. But that's that's what I do. I remove those email addresses. And if you use Mobile Renegade, there's a way. And Lewis, I know you're starting to do this, so you might take a note. When you use Mobile Renegade, you could create a filter. So let's say you scrape and you have 1,000 emails, and you want to automatically remove these instead of going through Excel and removing them like I did when I first started. You could set a filter and run the filters on Mobile Renegade to remove these automatically. Did you know that already?
No, man. It's funny. Uh, just yesterday or 2 days ago, you're like, "Hey, I was telling you about how I was not finding success with Mobile Renegade, and then like I made some really basic tweaks just from uh, just from my mistakes, I guess. And at first I had almost lost complete faith in Mobile Renegade. Like I was just like, "Oh my God, this software is garbage." And then you're like, "Well, wait a second, are you doing it like this?" And then you showed me the video, and I read the blog, but I guess I don't pay attention to everything sometimes. I must have missed it. I see the video, and it completely changed my whole perspective on Mobile Renegade. Like now I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing since fucking sliced bread, man. It's awesome. I mean, I'm so stoked about it. I really am. Uh,
Nice.
and
Yeah, and for people that don't know, he was manually entering just city names. He wasn't ending it with the state, and yeah, he was doing all kinds of wacky stuff.
it was a mess, man. But no, after watching that video and then now learning about the filters, I mean, man, I mean, I'm ready to crush it now.
It's life changing.
I know. I can't feel my face, man.
All right. Well, moving on. All about those open rates. This is where most people fail. Really horribly because the domain gets burned and people keep sending and they get super low open rates. And that's just how it goes. People don't understand the way that mass emailing works, especially with a cold list. If this is a 100% opt-in list, you don't have this problem. But if we had 100,000 emails opted in, we wouldn't need to really cold email. So when it comes to cold email, there's a lot of things you got to learn and be aware of. So here's a few tips. You never want to send from your main domain. Um, it's bad because no matter what kind of precautions that you take, you're going to be affected by delivery, whether people unsubscribe, whether they don't open your emails, whether they do complain. You don't want to risk your domain because let's say that you have a client and you're sending over a contract or sending a proposal or something like that, and you try sending it to them and then get a message back saying whatever your domain or IP is blacklisted, it can't go through, we'll automatically try again in 24 hours. This happened to me a lot of different times, and I was sending from my main domain name. So you want to avoid this. You don't want to have to manually go through all the different blacklists. You don't want to send requests to Spam House and other, spam lists out there to remove you, because that could be a pain in the ass and take a lot of time. Um, so you'll want to create another domain. Maybe it's the same domain, but it's .net. Maybe it's something completely different that you're using for emailing it. That's what you want to do. You don't want to ever risk your main domain name. So keep that in mind. Also, in the body of the email, never include your real domain name. So what do you do? How do you send them to your website? Well, that other domain name that you bought and you're using to email from, you want to put that in the email instead and use a 301 redirect to uh, your main domain or your landing page or whatever it is you're sending them to. Use a 301 redirect. This is going to protect your main domain name. If you don't do it, then eventually the different email providers out there, their filter and their software that they use is going to recognize a pattern in complaints and in delivery and sender reputation. So when they recognize a pattern, sometimes they will filter and send emails to spam or junk based on certain keywords in the email. So one of those keywords happen to be your domain name. So you can have super low delivery just because of a domain name listed in your email. Um, I've I've gone through this. I've had to test it out. I've sent emails with the the flagged domain name and it would be sent to spam, and then I didn't change anything and just removed that domain name and included a another domain that 301 redirected to the main domain and it went in just fine. So this is something um, to keep in mind. Another thing is implementing call tracking. Now, this isn't just so you could verify your results with email marketing. This is, the same reason why you don't want to send from your main domain name. Um, it, sometimes your phone number will be used as a keyword filter and send you to spam. It happens. It's happened to me. Um, I I burn through domain names and tracking numbers. Well, I switch them out at least once a month right now. Maybe they'll last a little bit longer for you. I'm sure they actually will until you do like some serious volume, but you'll want to switch that out regularly. Once you notice a big dip in your open rates and you don't have a logical explanation why that's happening, it's time to buy a new domain, set that up, 301 redirect it, use a new tracking number. It's just time for that. That's the only way that you'll get your open rates back up, and it happens. I do it regularly, so I would advise the same. Another thing is use different from names, and this is something that I split test too. So it's not just a delivery issue; it's also like getting people to open, because some people will open emails from certain names more than other names, and that's a technique that I've always split test, and the results are sometimes pretty drastic. So anyway, we can get on split testing later, but you'll want to use different from names. So if you start to notice a dip in open rates and you don't want to buy a new call tracking number or new domain name yet, set up a new from name, a new email address under that domain name that you're using, and see the results. You'll usually be able to milk a domain a little bit longer doing that. Of course, avoid spammy subject lines. Don't talk about you know you can make their business grow bigger than blah blah blah. Enter punchline about Viagra. You want to avoid anything that could be seen as spammy. Not just the subject line, but also links and certain phrases included in the email. uh, that's definitely a big issue. And usually, a lot of these email services will do like some kind of spam grader inbox evaluation before you send it. So they'll be able to let you know if you're using something that's too spammy. Sometimes using the word free in a subject line will be spammy. Um, but and another thing I've noticed, if you use the word Facebook in a subject line, you're more likely to be sent in the inbox instead of spam or junk. So those are things to think about, and you'll want to split test that, but always try to avoid any kind of spammy content in your subject lines or body content. Um, Also, remove unengaged emails. Now, this is something that's a little tricky because you don't know if people open your email if they're not downloading the tracking pixel. And there's nothing you could do about that. You could track the links, like if they click a link, then you know that they're just not downloading a tracking pixel, but they are engaging in the email. Um, you want to remove unengaged emails, or at least move them to a different service like Amazon SES. Um, and the reason for this is it affects it affects your sender reputation. Let's say you have 100,000 emails, you're getting 20% open rate. That means 20,000 people are reading your email. That's pretty good. So you could actually increase that by looking at the unengaged emails, the people that never open your email, never click it. Um, you want to just get rid of these. You don't want them eating up your list space. You don't want them affecting your sender reputation. The more open you have, the better. The better percentage. It's just better. So you'll want to keep that in mind. What I usually do, and since I've been doing this for a while, every 6 months or so, I'll remove, or at least go through and try to remove the unengaged emails and send them over to another platform. Um, and that works. That helps your center reputation. So that's something that you should keep in mind. And Lewis, if you're still around, do you have any questions on this? I know you're still learning, just like a lot of other people. Um, I mean, what are your thoughts so far? What did you already know about this before tonight?
I'm glad you asked if I was still around before you actually just asked me. Uh, um, but no, I think that as far as as far as learning about the knowing what spammy subject lines even is, I think that's good to know. Uh, um, uh, I actually bought your WSO, which if you guys haven't, I would recommend you guys take a look at doing that because I mean there's so much information in there, and one of the topics that you cover is this is just like a taste of what's in there, which is beautiful. This is just the peak of the mountain, so to speak. Um, but one of the things I found so fascinating was the way that you do split testing for the different names. I was like really just fascinated about that, um, and I think that's really awesome. I think that's really creative. Just in and of itself. And as far as some of this, as far as the open rates, I've been kind of reading that in the WSO some, but I'm definitely picking up some golden nuggets. Kind of curious um, what the audience thinks. I mean, have you guys ever even seen this on the internet? Give me a three if this is just like, man, no one's ever shared this with me, or give me a three if this is the first time you see someone being so open about this. Yeah, Nathan, we're breaking the internet, man.
We are.
Yeah, I feel
Awesomeness.
like if I were a woman, I'd feel like Kim or something because it just feels I feel so exposed. No, stupid. No, no, but really, this is something that no one's really sharing on the internet because it's of the power behind it. And to me, this is the best one of the best webinars yet, and I think it just gets better from here.
Awesome. Cool.
I feel exposed.
Breaking the internet. All right, so I guess that sums it up. There's a lot more that I could go on and on about with this, but I really want to keep this under 2.5 hours. So if you guys have any other questions and you're not getting the open rates that you want, feel free to email me or feel free to go on my blog and comment. Um, and I would be happy to answer and take a look and see if I could point you in the right direction or help a little bit. But right now, we'll go ahead and move to the next slide. If you guys have questions, we'll have a questions and answer section here towards the end. But we'll go ahead and get to the next slide here. Types of content to send. So, if you don't want to send them to like a autoresponder sequence, and you're just sending like broadcasted email blasts to your list, whether you have 10,000 or 100,000 or a million emails, this is the types of content to send, and a lot of people mess this up. I'll tell you a story about somebody else that emailed me and messaged me on Skype, and I took a look at his content. I'll share that with you after we go through this. So you want to avoid overly self-promotional content. Now, of course, the goal here is to get some of these emails to call you or go to your website and fill out a form and become a lead. Like that's the goal. That's what you want. You want to make sales. Um, I mean, your business can't survive without sales, so that is the goal. But you want to avoid being overly self-promotional. You want to send valued information and tips while including a soft call to action. That's what I do. I send it. It's almost like a blog post, but a little bit shorter, and it's showing actionable information to the business owner. So, if they're getting an email from me for the first time, they're probably less likely to hit spam or want to unsubscribe because I'm giving them valuable information that they could implement themselves. Think about this like You could do like a list type email, like 5 reasons your website's not ranking, 5 reasons why people aren't calling you when they go to your website. Things like that will give them reasons why it's not working, and give them tips to um, make it better. So at the end of the email, you don't even have to talk about how you do things, or why you're the better alternative to whoever they're using right now. None of that really matters, because when you're pointing out the problems and you're showing them how to fix it, they automatically assume you're the right you're the right person for the job. They know that you could handle it. So a soft call to action would be like, we love helping business owners succeed on the internet. Click here to check out our website, or call whatever your number is for a free consultation. And a lot of people say, okay, well, free consultation's not enough. It's not enough to get people to call. Well, bullshit. It is. It is enough, because it happens all the time. I do it all the time, and it's just something that you got to do. You got to hit them with value. And I've had people call after a couple years of being emailed, and they open it, they click links, they check out the website, they're always looking at the email, but for some reason they never called in, and they eventually do. I've had people over a couple years receiving my emails and saying, "Oh, I feel like I already know you. You've been emailing me for so long, and you're always sending good information. I just wasn't really ready to do anything. Business wasn't going good, and I knew I couldn't afford your services. Blah blah blah. Whatever the reason is, they didn't call before. They call in, and they already feel comfortable. That's huge. That is absolutely huge when it goes to closing the sale. So uh, the, that's what good content and email can do for you, whether they ask for your email or not. That's something that should be your biggest focus when sending email. You want to send them something that gives value. Um, and make sure to include your phone number and your website, not your real domain. No, your real domain though. Remember, you want to use a 301 redirect, but or a call tracking number for your phone number, and you want to use this because some people will read through the content or skim through it and get the whole gist of it, and not really read everything, and they'll see your phone number. They will call you. You want to use this uh, and generate calls, because if people call you, it's like 75% increase of them not just being a lead, but becoming a sale, a customer. So, and I've had that happen numerous times. I've had one call closes with that when people called in. They're like, well, I just saw the gist of your email, like the subject line. I didn't read through it all though, but I wanted to call you because this seems like something I'd be interested in. They didn't even read the email, but they knew they were interested in it. So, you send enough emails, this is going to happen to you. So make sure you always include a phone number. Do not just include a website. You want to generate the call. So make sure to include the phone number. Link to helpful content while structuring your email, and as a build up to that content. That kind of goes to the whole sending value. But linking to the helpful content, this could be your blog post. This could be a white paper that you put out or something like that on your website. And the reason you want to do this is because it makes them make minor commitments to you before you ever even talk to them, before you ever know if they're a lead and qualified or not. They're making commitments to you. They're reading your email, they're clicking links, they're going to your website, they're getting familiar with your content, and you're grooming them to become your own customer, whether they're ready to buy right now or it's going to be 6 months from now. This kind of goes back to the lead nurturing webinar that we did last week. And if you weren't here last week and you haven't seen the replay, I recommend after this going to the Income Bully blog and checking out the lead nurturing replay, because there's also a lot on email marketing in that, except in a different direction. Um, Most importantly, educate. You want to educate your potential customers. Um, a lot of business owners out there don't know anything about websites. They don't know anything about Google or social media or whether their website is mobile or responsive. Actually, most business owners think that their website is mobile compatible, simply because they could pull it up on a smartphone. It doesn't adjust based on the screen size, but they think that's mobile compatible. So there's a lot of education that can happen with the cold emailing, and that's something that you should definitely be doing. Your content should always be educating them and also positioning yourself as the solution without being too overly promotional about it. So I think that sums it up with that. Now, Lewis, what do you think? Any questions you have? Anything you like to comment on? I know you get a lot of emails, and it's probably the same old SEO spammer sales pitch where it's like, hello, sir. I see that your business has the potential to rank for 19 different keywords, but you're coming up on the second, third, fourth, fifth page. We could help you with that. Experts, blah, blah, blah. Call me. I'll give you a good deal. Yada, yada. So, I mean, how many emails are like that for you?
Well, you know, let me tell you this. There's not many like that. What they go like is this. And for those of you listening, when I finish this sentence, give me a 7 if you've seen this. Dear sir, or dear sir slash ma'am, um, would you like to see the first page of Google? I will give backlinks. I will give uh, wiki links. I will give Web 2.0's uh, 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 best regard, Sharma. Oh my god, that's
Best
what I get, and
regard,
so
Sharma.
uh, Sharma, or I get Raj a lot, or Muhammad is really popular over there. Oh my god.
I got the other day. I got a Samad. Um, and let's see here. I did get a Ryan.
Orion, nice.
Yeah, but that's probably just somebody, pretending to have an American name. You know how they
Right.
do that? Like how you'll call into, and this is off topic, but you'll you'll call in to like your cell phone provider, like AT&T, Sprint, or whatever you use, and you'll have somebody with this thickest accent who's probably Abdul or something, overseas in another country, and they'll say, "Thank you for calling. This is John. How can I help you?" And
Liar.
yeah, and I remember one time they said that. I was like, okay, so what's your real name? I am John. No, I know that's not your real name. What's your real name? And then there was something off the wall. I was like, okay, John.
Yeah. No, but where I was going with that, that's funny. Where I was going with that is, you know, okay, all right. On a serious note, oh, it's funny.
Oh,
Um,
yes,
whew, okay.
moving right
On
along.
on a serious note, you know, um, you are going to get some sales from people who are just like, yeah, I want to buy right now. But the odds of that is just not very likely. You know, I mean, you could take that approach, I suppose, but um, that kind of goes back to the other webinar about lead nurturing, and by nurturing these leads, you're going to find that you know after and I believe I don't know the exact statistic about it, but I know that the bulk of your potential prospects, not just I guess not just prospects, more like leads. Your potential leads will close from the third to the 12th contact. You know, so it's I mean it could be, excuse me, it could be even more than 12 contacts, and they still may not be ready to purchase. Um, you know, I'll give you guys an example. I got a cold call from HubSpot, and I was just curious about their sales process. I really wanted to see how they did it.
Wait, you got a cold call from HubSpot?
Yeah, I got a cold call from HubSpot, and
That's awesome. The inbound
HubSpot is a
marketing.
inbound marketing, right? So I got a cold call from them, and I was just curious to see their sales process. And what was interesting to me was the lady was trying to close me on the first sale, and you know, quite honestly, I'm really not a really good buyer. I'm very stingy with my money. But even if even if it was something beneficial, I really didn't know what the hell she was selling me. And so if I felt me myself as a marketer thought that HubSpot, I really didn't understand their program. Imagine people that you're calling or you're emailing or the people you're getting in contact with. There's a reason why only a small percentage just quote unquote just gets it. But the other percentage, there's probably a good bulk that just really just needs to be educated. They need to understand better what it is that you offer and understand, the risks that are involved because every purchase has a risk tied to it. And by minimizing that risk, you really find more opportunity to make more sales in your business.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's what it comes down to, like whether it's lead nurturing or whether it's, just sending cold emails. Most importantly, like the last line here, educate. You got to educate them. And the more education they have, the better lead they become. So, yeah, definitely right on point there. And what's crazy is that HubSpot first they cold called you, even though they talk a bunch of trash on cold calling. And then, secondly, they're the ones that really made lead nurturing or the topic of it popular. But but they're not apparently practicing their own advice when it comes to cold calling.
Yeah, it was really bad, man. The experience was, I was expecting a lot, man, and quite honestly, I had the intention of not buying to begin with, but just the lady I was dealing with, she was very very straightforward, very trying to just sell me. It just felt like a sell the entire time, and I was waiting for like something really, like some tricks up her sleeve, or I was waiting for a smooth line or for her to ask me questions or even to educate me, and she was just like really quick to get off the phone with me. It's like, okay, later.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah, man.
I actually like their process. Like if you opt into one of their lead magnets, how well they lead nurture in an automated way. But I haven't had a cold call from them, so that's crazy,
Yeah,
but
it is, man.
pretty awesome. I enjoyed that story. So I guess let's move on to the next slide. Now this is about split testing, and we're going to breeze through this. There's not going to be too much on this. It's pretty straightforward, as you can see. So things you should split test from names. Um, Now there's a couple ways to do this. You could use your company name in the email, like you could have your first and last name with the company name. Um, you could use just a first name, just Mr. or Mrs. last name. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and you'll want to split test to see the results that you'll have. What I do, I like to use Jewish names. Also, names that could be either a man or a woman. Casey is one, and that works really well. But usually, Jewish names work work really well when it comes to email marketing and cold emailing. Um, it's what I do. I test a bunch of crazy stuff. I test so many different names, first names and last names, and there's a pretty noticeable difference in open rates. So definitely recommend testing that. And of course, an obvious one, subject lines. It could be completely different subject lines. It could be completely different, purposes or whatever, or it could be subtle differences. How you structure the words. You could change two words and see what the difference is in a split test. Your call to actions, whether it's for a free estimate or free quote or free demonstration or a free analysis of their online visibility. Those are things that you'll want to test in the body content of the email, and some will have a better click-through rate than others. So you want to test that out and choose the winner. Your call to action colors, and this could be either an image or it could simply be text, and you'll have different results based on the font you use, or um, whether you bold it or have it use italics, or whether you give it like a highlighted background. There's a lot of different things that you could test. Headlines, headline colors, another thing you could add a background, like a highlight background. Test like bold, italics, underlines, uh, all that stuff. Time of day to send. And this is a big one. A lot of, if you follow like marketing message boards and other internet marketers, they have a different view on when the best time of day is to send, or different days to send, and that's because they're targeting a different market. They're not targeting business owners. Tuesdays are the worst to send for businesses. That's just the way it works. Mondays are the worst days to send for dentists. Um, there's a lot of things that you'll learn, and you'll continue learning by split testing the times a day. To generate a call, usually the best time to send is around 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes, and this is different on every day. Like I have a bunch of statistics on which day or what time per day is best depending on the day. So you'll want to do your own split test because things do vary based on industry and who you're targeting. So keep that in mind and definitely split test that. Different days to send, like I just said. Um, so you'll want to use these as split tests. They're really easy to implement. Most platforms allow you to split test before you send to the entire list. So pretty much no matter who you use for that, you'll be able to do that. I definitely recommend it. Lewis, is there anything that you could think of to split test? Now, there's a million things that you could split test for sure. Um, so, is there anything that you could think of?
Uh, man, I think you nailed it. Uh, hey, can everyone hear me okay, or uh,
Yeah,
can
I could
everyone
hear
hear me
you.
real quick?
It says
Yeah. Okay.
John. John said he just got here and he can't hear anything. Um,
Larry
John,
says, unfortunately.
John, turn your speakers on.
No.
Because he can't hear anything because so we can't really talk to him and tell him to turn his speakers on
I know,
since he
right?
can't hear us.
Turn your speakers on. Um, I would say you pretty much nailed it, man. Um, time of days, the colors, CTAs, from names, subject lines. Um, you know, uh, I would even say the content within each market or each niche. Um, and I'll tell you, I don't know if this is 100% relevant or not, but I'll tell you anyways. Um, I think that um, I think that I think this is true, but I think that each market responds to different um, different verbal, not verbal patterns, but different what's the word I'm looking for? Different they respond differently to different vernacular. There we go. So the way that you speak to a lawyer, uh, you can't really send the same content to a plumber, and just the way that you speak to these people, you really have to find ways to resonate with them. And I would even say, just I guess you'll learn with practice and time what works best for each market in your target market. So split testing your vernacular, split testing the way that you deliver the content, or even formatting. Is it easier to read? Uh, um, should I
Yeah,
send
that
long content?
that's actually a very good point.
Yeah,
Like testing your formatting. Now, as far as like changing, the context of the message based on industry, that's kind of a good entrance to the next slide where we talk about segmenting. So, um, about segmenting your list based on, industry, location, engagement, and lead status. So thank you for the perfect entrance to that, Lewis.
yep.
So, when I say segment, now this is what I do. I segment based on industry, so I could send, certain emails, and this does increase the time spent setting up my emails, but the results are a lot better. I could send a separate email and personalize it more based on their industry or based on, location. I could target roofers in the state of Florida or air conditioning repair companies in Texas. And you want to be able to segment it based on the the type of lead or prospect that they are. Now, so industry, you could have 30 different lists, like based on industry: roofers, landscapers, lawn care companies, um, HVAC, dentists, lawyers, all that different stuff. You could segment it based on industry. You could segment it based on location. Um, and those are things I think you should do no matter no matter what. At least do industry or do location. Lewis, stop that. You're distracting. um, so, and then the next thing is based on engagement. You want to be able to send, and this kind of goes back to our webinar last week on lead nurturing. You want to be able to send um, the right content to the right people. So you might have um, many different segments of a segment in your email list. So if you're sending to people that, let's say they're a roofing company, and last week they clicked on your email and read whatever it was that you sent them to, um, you would send them different content than the rest of that specific segment. Like, instead of the rest of the roofers that didn't click, you would send them special content that kind of further educates them and targets them in a different way, giving them more advanced content. You want to keep doing that to build them up and send them through your funnel. And I know that's a relatively more advanced technique when it comes to email marketing, and some of you might not want to do it. But when you really want to scale up, you want to get the most out of it, that's what you want to do. You want to not just segment by industry or location, but also by engagement and lead status. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar that with that not all leads are created equal. Um, you could have somebody call, or you cold call somebody, they're interested, super pumped, but then something happens, they fall off a little bit, and no two leads are exactly the same. There's different situations. There's different expected dates where they plan on buying. So not all leads are in the same boat. There's multiple boats. There's you want to be able to cater to them. So that's what it is. When you have somebody that, um, let's say, they're pretty knowledgeable. They've ran their own marketing in the past, and they've gone through a ton of different SEO companies, and they want to use you for SEO. Um, they probably already have a good understanding of it, and they've already talked to you. They're engaged. They're a lead. They want to buy from you. They just haven't pulled the trigger. They're obviously a different status than somebody you just talked to yesterday on the phone, or somebody that just called in today from an email. So you want to segment based on lead status as well, if you can. Now, it is more advanced, but it's definitely something that you should consider and look into. Um, and I know a lot of you maybe haven't even really ramped up your email marketing for cold emails, so maybe that might be too much right now. um, but it's something to consider later on. Like once you're feeling like your results are just average and you want to bump it up, then you start segmenting and continue doing that and building the value in your list. And keep in mind, once somebody becomes a customer, that doesn't mean you stop emailing them. You want to keep emailing them. Like last week in the lead nurturing, we talked about emailing your existing customer base. These are the people that are going to be campaigning for you. They're going to give you referrals. They're the perfect opportunity for an upsell or an upgrade to their service. So don't eliminate them. Don't just delete them from your list once they buy. You want to segment them off into a different section, like the buying list or customer list, client list, whatever it is. So you could continue marketing to them with new services that you might provide, or even like, let's say you're just doing websites, but then you found a good affiliate program or a partnership deal with a printer, and you could start offering like print designs for business cards or postcards or something else. That's one of the benefits of segmenting your list based on status as well. And Lewis, is there anything that you'd like to add with that, or
No, man.
should we?
You pretty much nailed it, man. You know, that's looking back at that other slide and thinking about it. This was the thing on my mind, and you pretty much nailed it, man. Um, uh, I'm almost at loss of words because it's just this is just valuable content. How many people in the audience think what they learned tonight is valuable? Let me see a two if you thought it was valuable. What you've learned tonight, give me a two if you thought it was valuable. Yep, David, Andrea, Larry, Keith, JB. Awesome. Awesome, man. Uh I feel like tonight, uh Joe, absolutely. Joe, your name looks new. Welcome. Um uh, I'm just blown away by the value you brought to in this webinar, man. And I'm pumped to keep learning, man. I think what we got going on is awesome, man. And I think there's some people that they may have different strong suits and I think that you pretty much covered everything there is to, or it feels like that anyways, almost everything there is to know about email marketing. But I think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, yeah, and there is a lot covered, and definitely a lot to digest. Yeah, Keith just said that, a lot to digest in one sitting, for sure. And a lot of you will probably run into other questions that you might have along the way, and feel free to reach out to me and ask for my opinion. Because we could cover like the basic things, the more advanced things, but whenever you're doing something that's new to you, you're going to have other questions along the way. So I'm here for you guys if you have any questions and want want some advice or help. Just let me know. You have my email address. So that pretty much sums it up. Um, and here we are in the questions and answers segment. So if you guys have any kind of questions that you have, love to answer it. You do that every single week, Lewis.
Yep, it's just what I do, bro.
All right. What do you think of services that do bulk emailing for for a fee, or is it for free or fee? Um, I can't comment based on my experience because I've never used another company to do it for me. I've always done it myself, so I don't really know. Uh, I mean, I'm sure the results are the same as um, services that you could outsource. You're going to have different results. And personally, I don't trust anybody out there enough to handle my emails. So that's just what I feel about it. How am I using 301 redirects with my email scheme? Okay, so the 301 redirects. Um, let's say we're using. We'll just use this as an example. Affordablewebdesign.com. Let's say that's my my main domain name. Now I don't want to use that, so I'll use like getyouraffordable.websites.com and set up an email that's like Nathan Affordable Websites or whatever the domain name I just said .com, and also 301 redirect that domain name um, to the main domain if that helps. So I create an email address on a secondary domain. I send from that domain, whether it's MailChimp or Amazon SES. And include as a soft call to action, probably a link to my website, which is using the secondary domain. And I 301 redirect that to the main domain. So that avoids any kind of problem with complaints or hurting, penalizing my main domain. I don't want that to happen. So that's why I do it. That's why I use the 301 redirects. Um, because no matter what you do when it comes to email marketing, you're going to have people hitting the spam buttons. You're going to have delivery issues at some point. So you don't want to hurt your main domain. I hope that helps. How many hours a week do I dedicate to this? Oh, I don't know. I automatically scrape. Like I use Mobile Renegade to scrape. I scrape by an entire um, state, so it runs for a while. I run Mobile Renegade on multiple machines too, so there's a good amount of time spent. Now on the actual emailing, I'll usually spend about once a month setting up my emails. Maybe spend like 2 or 3 hours setting it all up. Um, it's really not too much time. It's a lot better than manually emailing just a small amount. Let's see, what else do we have? Do I host servers? What happened here? For blacklisting. Um, well, since I use MailChimp and I also use Amazon SES for, trying to remove bounces, there's not really much to do. I don't need to worry about that too much. Um, and since I don't email from my main domain, I don't really run that risk. So sometimes I will if I want to stretch out a domain and I don't want to set up a new domain, new 301s, new email. I will check the different blacklists and try and get them removed if they're on there. But what you'll notice is if you email often enough, you're not you probably won't be blacklisted as long as you follow these rules, but it doesn't mean that your sender reputation doesn't drop. So even if you're not on a blacklist, your reputation could drop and your open rates will drop. So with that in mind, you probably want to often buy new secondary domains and continue using the 301s and also you will want to get additional call tracking numbers. What do we have next? Let's see here. As a beginner, sending 50,000 emails per month, how many sales? Um, well, if you have a 50,000 person email list and you're sending just once a month, you're not doing it the right way. You want to send at least once a week, probably once a week. So if you have a 50,000 person email list and you're sending once a week, that's probably about 200,000 emails a month. And if you do that, I don't know, even if you're a beginner and you don't know much about copy and how to get people to take action, I would say you should at least get a sale or two a week with it. It just depends on your own skills, and those will improve with time as well. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Lewis, do you know where we are?
Uh, Andrea asks, maybe it could be off topic, but do you also use advertising customers? And I told him that that'd be a good topic for next week.
Well, I mean, everything that we do is pretty much advertising. So,
Well, and he means AdWords or Facebook ads.
how do you know he means that?
That's the
Oh, okay, he says it.
yeah, he says it. Yeah.
um, Yeah, I mean, I not so much Facebook ads anymore. I have in the past a little bit using the Power Editor feature, using phone numbers I scraped, and I would set up like advanced targeting, which we probably could do an entire webinar on that. I just don't know if I really want to give all that out yet. um, but it doesn't have to be an either or type thing. Just like when it comes to cold calling, like, people always want to know, like, what's better? Is it cold calling or is it cold emailing? Both are good. Both are good for different purposes. They reach different people. And when it comes to marketing and advertising, um, you don't want to ever make it an either or type thing. You want to have your campaigns complement each other. You want to be doing more than one thing at once. So yes, you need to be cold emailing. Yes, you need to be advertising, cold calling, direct mailing, networking. You want to do everything that you can to advance your business. And when you're using automated methods like that, it's perfect. It's a perfect way um, to save your time, expand your profits, and build a real booming business. So it doesn't need to be an either or type thing. You should do everything that you can. Sure, there's going to be certain methods that are better than others, but it doesn't mean that you ignore those other methods. You want to keep doing everything you can for your business. All right, so what do we have next? David said set up SES for a client's member site and had to play cleanup on blacklist. Um, Now that's interesting because you shouldn't really. Well, I guess if it's the domain that was already on a blacklist, that makes sense. But SES itself, they manage their blacklist like anything that gets on a blacklist themselves. That doesn't mean that a domain can't be on a blacklist before using it. So that's probably what happened. That sucks. I always hate having to play cleanup on blacklists.
JB asks, is 100K? I know you meant 200K, not 200,000K. That's a lot of fucking emails. 200K emails, 50,000 in 1 week. Is that doable? Absolutely. Why not? If
Yeah.
you have if you have a automatic scraper, it's super doable. If you're doing it manually, I mean, it's doable, but you know,
It takes
it'll
time.
take a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it's doable. I mean, I have a ton, so yeah, that's doable. Now, you don't want to, you say 50,000 per week over a month sequence. Now, when your whatever sequence that you have ends, doesn't mean you stop emailing them. You want to once you have their email, you want to keep on emailing and emailing and emailing. It's not just a 1 month type thing. You want to continue doing it as long as you can. As long as they're still opening your emails and they're not unsubscribing, you got to keep on emailing them. So whether it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, I mean, I've told stories. I guess it was last week. I've had people where they called in and they weren't ready to buy, and they bought over a year later. So it happens a lot. You want to keep on emailing them once you implement this.
Yep. David says Facebook ads is like farting in a crowded room. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, but the cool thing with Facebook ads is the power editor, and David, I know you probably you're using Mobile Renegade, is that right? I'm just gonna assume yes, he is. Okay, he says yes. So a cool thing that you could do with that is, let's say you're targeting roofers in California, you can export all those phone numbers, and some of them are going to be cell phones. And some of those people with those cell phones are on Facebook, and they have the phone tied into their account. So you could use the Facebook Power Editor and target those roofers in California just with their phone number. So that's another awesome use for Mobile Renegade, and that's what everybody that uses it should be considering, because you could get probably 1 cent, like penny clicks. It's a great tool for lead generation and generating inbound calls. So
Wow, that
something
was a
something to think
sick
about.
golden nugget. That was crazy, dude. How many of those in the audience even knew that? I mean, give me a four if that was like foreign to you. If that was just like, what the hell did he just say? Give me a four if that was just like, what the hell? No, 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 not just a custom audience. I'm saying using using mobile renegade to take that phone number and then shove it in there to create a custom audience. I think for the most part everyone knew about the custom audiences, but that phone number was mind blowing.
Yeah, so if you're using like the new feature on there with super pages, and you got a shitload of phone numbers that have no emails, it's a good way to like boost your audience and targeting your ads with the phone numbers, because you'll find that about 15 to 20% of those numbers are tied to accounts, which is awesome for targeting. Definitely something that you guys should try out.
David, you're just a guru, man. Just come on, man. I don't even know. I don't even know what he's doing here. He should be talking. Not. I mean, geez, he's just like, yeah, I knew about that. Fuck you guys.
He David is actually in a Skype mastermind group with me, um, with a few other mobile Renegade users, and he always has good information. So it's cool to have you here, David.
Yep. I met David through a different group, man, and just seeing some of the things he has to say, I always tell him that he writes things much more eloquently than I do. Uh, my
Well,
vernacular is good, but his
you
is
suck
great.
you suck at writing. I
No,
mean,
no, 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 no.
you're still working on a blog post from like 4 weeks ago.
Uh,
So
hey, I told you I'd get it to you, man.
yeah.
But
How do I
it's
do all this with only 24 hours in a day? It's really that. I guess it's hard. You get used to it. But once you have everything set up, it's not that bad. It doesn't. It it really doesn't eat up that much time. Um, I mean, pick one day a month, set up your month emails, set up 4 emails to go out and schedule them in advance. You're only investing a couple hours. Now with scraping, all it is you run a search, you scrape your emails. I have it on multiple machines. I use a VPS as well, and it's something that really isn't too difficult or um, taking up too much time. Let's say a scrape ends. It only takes me about 5 seconds to export it or run my filters, export, remove duplicates, and start another search. So it doesn't take up that much time. There's much more that involves more time than email marketing. The hardest thing was just learning and getting things set up right. So it's really one of the techniques that actually saves you the most time. Once you have everything set up and you do this, it's something that you have forever.
Yeah, just to add on to that, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I think that for those of you who are new to this concept, it's even myself, really, I think you have to understand that to build up, kind of like Nathan saying I know, and I know he says it so modestly, but 4.5 emails is a feat, that's really awesome. And I don't think that even 50K emails that takes a little time to get up and running to a point where it's just like push button easy. Um, so just figuring that it takes time and you'll have a learning curve and for badasses like David, he's just gonna pick this up and you know uh, he's gonna do this in like 2.2 seconds.
Another question: how many emails per list per Mailchimp account per day? You only need one Mailchimp account, so you could have as many emails as you want. I pay a lot each month for mine, but what I'd recommend is, I don't know, once you have about 5,000 emails, create your account, set it up, start sending, and every 2,000 emails that you scrape or every 1,000, whatever you feel like, add it to Mailchimp, and slowly build up the increase in emails that you have in your account. You don't want to automatically just go to them and start out with 10,000 and then a day later add another. It'll make it easier for the long run. And Joe, at the end of this, you'll be taken to a thank you page where you could see other webinars in the past that we have, a couple replays, and you'll also be linked to you'll get a link to Mailchimp, Mobile Renegade, all that. I am an affiliate for Mobile Renegade. I'm not trying to like push this on you guys. It's an awesome tool. I've been using it a long time. In fact, I just became an affiliate for it this year, 2015, but I was using it since 2010 or so. So long before it was ever released. I've been a beta tester, so I definitely recommend it. I hands down, it's an awesome piece of software.
You know what's crazy, Nathan?
What's that? You kind of cut out for me, Lewis.
No, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
I could hear you.
I don't see the chat screen anymore.
Yeah, I guess I minimized it and now I don't
It
see it
went,
anymore.
it
I
ran
I
away.
messed it. Yeah, I messed it all up. Let me see here.
There we go.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I was gonna tell you we actually we didn't pass up 2 hours today.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And just another comment. This doesn't have to just be for consultants and web design, SEO companies, stuff like that. I actually ran a email campaign for a friend of mine that has a lawn care company in Missouri, and he wanted to get some commercial accounts. So we just scraped the area by area code with the phone number, and hit up a lot of different businesses trying to get some commercial accounts for him. And to be honest, I didn't think that it was going to do much for him, but he ended up getting, I think, like 6 or 7 like big accounts. So it's something to think about too. It's nice to have up your sleeve if you have a customer you really like, and you want to do this for them. It's something that you can do, especially if they're doing like commercial services. And Lewis, you could
Yeah.
probably do that as well with pressure washing.
Yeah, I will, man. And like I said earlier, for those of you who were here or didn't get a chance to listen, I'm changing up my business model a little bit so I don't have to fulfill anymore, and just kind of be the middleman, so to speak, uh, by generating sales and leads and whatnot. And after learning this tonight, I think I will implement it and start looking to see how I can do that.
Good
How
deal.
many people tonight? The things we learned. Give me a 7 if you felt like you learned something tonight and you are going to have opportunity to use it. Yeah, ton
Good
of
deal.
sevens. I love it. I love it. David says it was fun too, man. I have a blast being on here, guys. Uh, uh, I'm sure I could find 100 billion other things to do, man. But I love being here
Yeah,
personally.
it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what we're gonna do next week, what the topic is, so I definitely want your input. I value your input. So if there's a certain topic that you want to hear next week, make sure you email me, or when we end this, you'll be taken to a thank you page. You should be able to comment. And speaking of that, if you're not opted in to uh, the webinar list starting next week, that is the only way you'll receive like the registration links for the webinar. So when you get taken to the thank you page, there's going to be a chance for you to opt in to that. That way, I don't annoy everybody else that's pissed off because they work on Friday nights and can't come here. So just make sure you opt in and to receive future alerts on the webinars, and definitely let me know what you want to hear, what you would like to see us do next week, or in future weeks. I've been thinking about content marketing. I've been thinking about like talking about sales. Um, and the different ways to approach it based on whether you cold call or somebody calls you. I've been thinking about Facebook ads, some other stuff. So let me know what you want to hear, what you'd like to see us do. I definitely value your opinion and your input. And before we close this out and finish, Lewis, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I kind of came here by whim. Just a couple weeks ago, me and Nathan were talking, and just the way that I ended up here was so crazy. And I love the opportunity I had to be here, man. So I want to thank you publicly, Nathan, for inviting me week after week, man. And I would tell you guys out in the audience that if you have friends in the internet marketing space, or if you have friends who have a business or an offline business, invite them. I mean, the more the merrier. I think the more we can teach and the more that we can learn together, the better we can serve our clients, the better we can market our business, the better we can grow. So I would encourage you guys that if you have friends in the space, or you have people you think would benefit from this, you should invite them to the Income Bully webinar every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central.
For sure, for sure. And John said you'd like to see us see checking how much SEO competition your client has, so you know how much work to start doing. Really, that's actually pretty simple. And the way I see it is, it doesn't matter how much competition there is, because if you follow the certain things that you've already learned here, John, you're probably going to beat most of the people anyway, even if there's insane competition. At least when it comes to local, maybe like a separate thing on organic would be beneficial, but um, with local, you're probably going to be well set. So I think that sums it up, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, Lewis, for joining us. And make sure you guys opt in when you're at the thank you page, and let me know what you want to see, what you want to hear, different topics that you'd like us to cover. So thank you again, everybody, for being with us on Friday night, and thanks, Lewis, for joining again and uh, having us do another great webinar.
Yep, we'll see you guys next Friday.
All right, over and out.